I want you to think about 3 things that happened or things you did that you are not taking with you into 2024, that you are not repeating into 2024. Welcome to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, where we're all about mixing tried and true strategies that actually work with the magic of manifestation and the science of programming your unconscious mind so that you walk away feeling integrated, inspired, and aligned. I'm Renee Bowen, certified life and business coach, professional photographer, middle-aged wife, and mom to now 3 grown kids. I've built 2 multiple 6-figure businesses with 0 business training by digging in, learning the methods, and now I'm here to pass them all on to you. From photography and business strategies to energy healing, human design, and the basics of manifestation, we cover it all here. I'm here to help you embrace your multi-passionate brains and lean into the fastest and most efficient ways to reach your goals, whatever they may be. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, or maybe you're just here for the woo-woo, let's dive in and explore all the exciting ways to take your life, business, and self-improvement to the next level. Thanks for joining me, and get ready to be inspired. Hey, welcome back to the show, guys. And if this is your first time joining us here on Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, I am Renee, your host, and I am so happy to have you with us today. Please let me know if I can help you in any way. Find anything that you need. I am just a DM away. Hit me up on Instagram. I'm at Renee Bowen, and I love to chat with you guys in the DMs. So today's show, we are in mid-January now. I don't know about you, but it feels like the month finally started moving. It's been kind of like a long runway into 2024, which if you listened to my podcast a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how, the astrology is kind of supportive of that and that it's okay. Take a little bit more time if you need to kind of get things moving. But I really feel like things are moving and shaking now. And I feel like we're going to be starting to go a little bit faster. So I hope that the energy is starting to support you, and that if it's super, super cold and snowy where you are, that you are able to still find some inspiration. I know that a lot of my Elevate group members are dealing with, a lot of that. And I know that by late February, early March, it can seem like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? So reach out to a support system. If you're in my groups, obviously pop in there and let me know if I can help support you in any way, and just do what you can to, do the best that you can. Right. But where I am, it's sunny SoCal, so I can't really complain too much. I'm really excited, and I'm crossing my fingers that the weather stays this beautiful for my workshop that I'm having the last weekend of January. So next week. So that's going to be super fun, and I cannot wait for that. But let's get into today's show. Okay. So today I have something for y'all that I typically like to do. It's an exercise and a workbook. So yep, you can have an accompanying PDF for this. So I normally like to do this exercise, which is kind of a 2-part exercise at the end of a year before we start the new one, somewhere close to the winter solstice. So if you listen to my show back in December, that was talking about journal prompts and things like that, that's kind of where I like to start my new year, or at least start to think about it. But again, the astrology and just the energy and the vibe of December 2023 just did not feel right. I was like, you know what? This is a mid to late January exercise. So this is when I'm releasing it for y'all, because I feel like this is going to be very supportive for you in looking ahead as well as looking back. So I ran this a couple of years ago as a free workshop called Implement. Okay. And so I think that I'm just going to keep revising it year after year and just updating it. So, it's relevant to the time, because the content in here is so good. Like this is basically today you're getting a free workshop, and it's meaty. It's like I could easily charge for this. So definitely dive in. And if you do want to download the PDF, I will have the link for that for you. It's not mandatory. You can definitely do it without the PDF. But again, it'll be a lot easier if you do have the PDF. So I'm going to walk you through it. You are welcome to modify this if you like. Definitely make it your own. But like I said, it's a 2-part exercise. The first part is focused on an easy system to get you really clear on what you need and want to accomplish in 2024 and the steps needed to actually follow through on that. And then the second part is learning how to map out a quick and really easy way to come up with your entire year of marketing material and how to break it down into actionable posts. Yeah. So it's a lot. You're going to want to come back to this and save it. Save it on your Apple Podcast where you can save it to your show so you can access it really quickly. And again, if this feels valuable to other people in your life, make sure you share it and send it to someone else as well, or put it on your Instagram story. So I do feel like it's very essential that we look at our numbers and profit and all of that, right? But we tend to overlook the actual system of implementation for goals that will help us move the needle in our businesses. And the way that most of our creative brains work is that we get super tied up and like riled up basically at the idea of goal setting or list making around the end of a year or the beginning of a new year. And sometimes that carries through all the way into like mid to late January. And much like gym memberships, that sell at this time of year, our mindset workouts also fall to the wayside soon enough because life gets busy, kids go back to school, things, start moving, and we haven't put in actual systems or daily rituals and habits that will ensure that we follow through. That, and our brains get overloaded with too many things. Okay. We're creatives, which makes them just shut down. So soon you're well into, May, thinking about the fact that you need some more seniors booked this summer or clients booked in general. And then you start getting super stressed out and feel all this pressure. So this is really common. And one of the main reasons I created this, free workshop basically for you guys. So let's just dive right in and work through it. So before we start, I want you to establish your timeline. Okay. What does that mean, Renee? Everyone has a timeline where you believe your past and your future to live. So why is this important? As some of you guys may or may not know, I'm certified in something called timeline therapy, as well as hypnosis. So timeline therapy involves working at an unconscious level and allows someone to surrender negative emotions linked to past experiences and transform their internal programming. A person's timeline represents their mental photo album and their own ability to distinguish between images of the past and their perception of the future. So the internal programming is often the thing that is responsible for our outward experiences and limiting beliefs. So establishing your timeline gives you a really good starting point and a physical reference so that you can then gain more self-awareness. And then it increases the probability of working through those limiting beliefs. Now, we aren't going to do a whole timeline therapy session here because that really is interactive and I need to be working one-on-one with you for that. But I love having coaching students at least start with establishing their timeline. So it helps put what we are about to do into perspective for you. So just take a second and you can close your eyes if you want. You don't have to, but just take a couple of deep breaths. It is supportive if you would like to go ahead and close your eyes. Now think about something good that happened in your childhood, your past. Using your fingers to point, allow yourself to feel which direction your past lives in. Any direction around you. There's no wrong answers, just any direction in relation to your body in this physical dimension. Okay? So now I want you to think about your future or what you perceive to be your future and maybe a future version of yourself. What direction does that future version of yourself reside in? Point to that direction. Now, again, this is going to be different for everybody, right? For some of you, it's going to be up and down. For some of you, it's going to be right and left. It might be a diagonal. It's your timeline. What matters is that you are just being a little intentional with that. All right. So now that you know where your past and your future are, I want you to think about this past year that we just had of 2023. So I want you to go all the way back to January of 2023. If you don't have the PDF in front of you, you're going to want to have some kind of notebook, a piece of paper, a journal, something for you to write in. preferably with your hand and not typing, because something magical happens when you actually use your handwriting. So let's think all the way back to January of 2023. Where are you? Who was with you? What smells or sounds can you remember having? Whatever stands out, I want you to just hold it in your mind's eye and stay there for a minute and just kind of revisit it, right? You can imagine yourself and your timeline. You can imagine flying above your timeline. So float up out of your body, fly up above your timeline, go all the way to January of 2023 and look down on it. So whether it's a positive or negative experience, just try and stay in an observation of it. If it feels good, you can allow yourself to just kind of stay there and float above the memory for a little bit and just observe it without judgment. Okay. That's the key here. This exercise is not about you going to this place in time and saying, oh, I should not have been doing that. No judging. We're just observing. You're just a neutral observer. So look down on the experiences, float in and out of the frame, and try and stay as neutral to these experiences as you possibly can. And now just write down what comes to mind. Don't overthink it. This is just your experience. And our tendency is to sometimes overthink it or think that you're not doing it the right way. There's no right or wrong way. It's just your experience. Where were you January 2023? How did you feel? It doesn't have to be just about your business. This can be about your personal life as well. Now, as solo creativepreneurs, creative solopreneurs, we are our brand, right? So all the things that happen for us personally will end up showing up somehow in our business. Just write down anything that seems relevant for you from January of 2023. And then I want you to float on through to February of 2023 and pull up a moment from then. Is it cold where you live? Did it snow a lot? Did it rain a lot? Did you recall any important emails or phone calls or life events? Jot it down. Just brain dump. And then do the same thing as we march through or float through March and April. Were there any big changes as spring started to emerge? Just note anything of importance, again, without judgment. What I don't want you to do is jot down what you should have been doing or wish you should have done or wish you would have done. Only the things that you actually did or experienced or felt in either business or personal life. So as you head into spring, where April and then May emerge, did anything fun happen? Did anything difficult happen? Did you take any trips? Did your business do well? Did you wish you had more clients? Like anything that comes to mind, okay? As you go through into summer, did you travel? Did you spend a lot of time with people in your family? Did your kids come home from college? Did you lose your mind because your kids were home from school? Did you allow yourself space and time to dream and design your business, or just was it chaotic? And then, of course, let's go into fall. Did you have a busy season of fall? Did you have the kind of fall that you had hoped for? Did you have a lot of seniors if you're a high school senior photographer, like a lot of you guys are? Was it a really busy wedding season if you are in that industry? Did you have a lot of sessions or not as many as you had hoped? Did anything happen in your personal life that threw a wrench in your plan? What stands out for you the most? Keep on floating through to November in your mind, and then go ahead and arrive at December. Was it just chaos? Were you able to spend as much time on your business at that time? Or in programs, for instance, if you are in Elevate, did you spend enough time in there? Did you devote as much time to the programs that you invested in as you had hoped you would? Did they turn out the way that you wanted to? Did you put enough of yourself into it? What things did take most of your time? What do you observe as you look down on your whole year? Okay. So if you have the PDF, there are pages specifically set aside for this. It's all organized for you. So you can just jot it down in the spaces provided. And if you do have the PDF, move on to page 6. I want you to think about 3 things that happened or things you did that you are not taking with you into 2024, that you are not repeating into 2024. There are columns for 3 professional and 3 personal. But you can come back to this later and maybe only choose one for now. It's up to you. If you've got the capacity and the time to just kind of pause me right now and do both, go for it. Just take a minute though and write some stuff down. And now go ahead and move on to page 7. Looking at those 3 things, I want you to write down 3 positive outcomes of each one. Each one of those things that you're not repeating, okay? I still want you to find 3 positive outcomes. The silver lining. You might need to think about that for a minute, but come up with at least one big thing for each of those, okay? I'd like you to do 3, but if all you can find is 1, that's fine. Challenge yourself to find it. Now that you've got something positive that you're taking away from each of those that no longer serve you, let's start thinking about 2024. Page 8 has 5 columns across and 3 down. Again, if you don't have the PDF, you can create this on your own. I want you to write down 5 feelings that you want to feel at the end of 2024 in the top row. It could be anything. What are 5 ways of feeling that you want to embody this year? When you look back on 2024, how will you have felt? Okay, this is key, you guys. Don't skip this step. This is really, really important that we anchor in a feeling, because without that, you're going to have a lot of trouble following through. When we intentionally attach an outcome with a feeling, it sticks. And you're going to see why in just a minute. So just come up with these 5 feelings, 5 ways of being that you want to embody in 2024. Go ahead and pause me if you have to and come back. Okay, so once you have them, I want you to take a second, close your eyes, deep breath, and feel those feelings in your body right now. Just allow them to sink in. Really get them into your body and your soul. As you're allowing those feelings to wash over you, under each one, write 2 things that need to happen in 2024 for those feelings to come to fruition. What are the causes of those feelings? 2 things, experiences, moments under each feeling. So, for example, if your feeling is confidence and you're pulling from the professional column, what 2 things need to occur for you to get to that feeling? Could be selling your highest package. Could be taking more classes to make sure that your photography is on point. Could be winning an award. So just let yourself reverse engineer the feeling. Take a second and then move through it one at a time. So now you should have 10 things listed that will happen for you in 2024, right? That's essentially what you've come up with, which is pretty cool. 10 things that you will accomplish by the end of 2024 and how you're going to feel. So now for the next 4 pages, it's broken up into quarters. So let's do the first one. Okay. Thinking about January through March only. Pull 3 of those things, 3 of those 10 things into the time frame. Meaning during January, February, and March of this year, you're going to do these 3 things. Choose ones that you know you can tackle. If you feel like you can add one more, that's fine, but don't take on more than 4. Okay. That's where a lot of us get into trouble. We try and do all the things in a very short amount of time because it might feel like March is really far away, but you know it's going to be here in a second. Take into consideration the time of year. Is first quarter typically slower for you? Do you shoot less? Do you have less bookings? Do you have a slower time in your business in general? Maybe you typically shoot less, but you want to change that. So write down each of them in that box there. So I'm not going to walk you through each quarter in this podcast because you can absolutely do that on your own. But I want you to do this as part of your homework. Okay. Go ahead, spend some time later with this and decide where those 10 things are going to fall and when. And maybe you want to take on less in Q4 this year than you typically have in the past. So think about that as well. All right. So now your homework is also going to be to look at this list every single day, or at least during the week as part of your morning routine. This is important. Don't overcomplicate it. You can put them on a sticky note. You can look at it on your phone. You can have it pop up as an alarm on your phone. Make it easy for yourself to see these things daily because that's going to help you absolutely check them off your list. And as you check them off and change them, you can put them on a sticky note or on your phone as an alarm that pops up. Just make it easy for yourself to see these daily. And as you accomplish them, check them off and change them as you move through the year and into different quarters right? So when you chunk things down like this, it's way more attainable to actually accomplish them. Just try not to add too much. That's the whole point. There's a boundaries thing, okay? And it's super important so that if you know you struggle with boundaries and saying no, then it's even more important and a non-negotiable that you actually stick to this list, okay? If you want to take this step even further on your own, make a vision board using this exact exercise as a guide. I like to do them digitally so I can keep them on my desktop wallpaper or my iPhone wallpaper all year. But you can do this old school if you want by cutting magazines and collaging them together if you want to get really crafty. There's an app called Shuffles, which is a Pinterest app, and you can use that. You can use Canva. There's a lot of different programs that make it really easy now. The idea with the vision board, by the way, though, is to get clarity first. So this exercise should really help you with that. And then on page 14 of the PDF, you can go even deeper with this if you want. You can take each goal and go step by step into why you want it. Okay. Start with the goal and ask yourself, why do I want to accomplish this? Is it really mine? Is it really my goal? Yes, it's for the feeling that you want to elicit, but what else is there? Are there deeper meanings to it? The deeper you go and the more connected you are to it, the faster you're going to reach it. And it's not all woo-woo stuff. As always, there's neuroscience to back this up. It's literally quantum creating, and you're entirely capable of it. You already know how to do it. You can even print out a page for each goal, or in Canva, just add another page, however you want to do it. I highly encourage you to spend some time doing this within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then on page 15, you have a habit tracker, and you can make this on your own as well. This is going to help you keep track and stay on track. So put it somewhere that you can see it daily. This is simply just to remind yourself to look at the quarterly goals every single day and do one thing that moves you in the direction of it. It could be small, but you got to make this a habit for 6 weeks. Okay. So you're more likely to stick with it all year if you do that. Also, it is very important to reward yourself when you do finish that. So what are you going to look forward to? How are you going to reward yourself? You know how powerful rewarding your kids are, right? So do the same for yourself. Your unconscious mind, your inner child really, really wants that. Give yourself something really awesome for accomplishing this goal. It could be that in December of this year, you take a weekend away or plan a trip, or maybe it's a new lens. This is all going to help you work toward it. So we need to trick our brain sometimes into thinking it's fun. There's a whole study on this that came out, especially for those of us with creative ADD brains. We really want this dopamine. All right. And you're way more likely to get a task done if you make it fun. You gamify it. And beyond that, it's going to train your unconscious to keep wanting to do more of it. All right. So that's the first part of this exercise. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. Okay. Because again, tried and true with a dash of woo. That was kind of your woo. Now we're getting into some strategy. We're going to go into some steps that you need to take to come up with a content strategy for your entire year of 2024. But without the overwhelm. I'm going to break it down for you so that you can see it all very clearly and easily. So I know that a lot of you guys get super busy and then realize, oh my God, I have no marketing for the next few months. Raise your hand if that's you. Super common. Hopefully the first part of this workshop is going to help you get better habits. And now let's strategize that. So moving on to the PDF, you're going to see for each month, write down what you know you need to be doing for marketing during that month. So, for example, if you sign up your senior rep team members, if you're a high school senior photographer, if you sign up your team in February, you know you're going to need to be talking about that during January. Or you should have been talking about it for a little while, by the way. But if you do branding, January and February are great months to be talking about that because people realize that that's when they need to get it done. It's a little bit of a downtime, January tends to be. I just want to make sure that you're giving yourself a really good runway and not waiting until it's right up on top of you. Okay. That's how we avoid feast or famine. So go ahead and just fill in each month of the whole year. Yep. Could be headshots and branding for January and February. I know for me, that's what I think about. And I also think about prom in February. as well, because the schools here are usually selling tickets for prom around mid-February. I always want to do a promo shoot with my team during that month or at least early March. And then in March, I'm marketing for actual prom minis as well as spring senior sessions, or for those seniors who didn't get photos done, before January and who now realize, oh my gosh, I still want announcements. And in April and May, I'm marketing my summer senior sessions a ton. I also have lots of organic images from prom and cap and gown sessions. So it makes my marketing a little bit easier. And then in June and July, I'm marketing fall, but I have a ton of clients who are vacationing at that time. So I'm going to use the senior sessions I have in summer to start the conversation for fall. And in fall, I'm marketing for winter and holiday minis if I open those up, and for families, as well as my winter seniors before the holidays hit. I'm also marketing my team in the fall because I like to give myself a very long runway. I find that Gen Z really needs that. So I start talking about my team stuff all the way back in like September and October. And I use those fall sessions to help me market that. I talk about all of that inside of my creative team method. There's a very specific way that I outline my year for this marketing purpose. So just think about how your timeline works. When are you marketing and why? Okay. Because the whole point of this exercise is so that you avoid this whole feast or famine cycle where you're like, oh my God, I'm busy. I don't have time to market. And then, oh my God, I don't have clients. We want to not have that happen. So now if you take the time to do this, you're going to have 12 marketing themes or topics. On the next page of the PDF, I want you to take each monthly theme and I want you to write one blog post title for a blog post that you are going to write. You might be saying, I don't have a blog, Renee. Okay. Easy to fix. I highly recommend you get a blog. I'm going to take a little side note real quick and just kind of give you a blurb about that because blogging is fantastic, as we know, for SEO, but it's also great long form content that you can just use over and over again. I talk about this in Repurpose, my little mini course for $37. You take a blog post and you repurpose that into like 25 different pieces of short form content. So it's really strategic. You start with a blog post or a long form video on YouTube, and then you chop it up into lots of different pieces. So when you have that strategy going for you, you definitely take a lot of the heaviness and the pressure from creating content. Okay. Blogging is not dead. Blogging does not have to be hard, especially with tools like ChatGPT. No, I'm not telling you to ask ChatGPT to, write your blog post word for word. You're going to need to refine your ChatGPT, or if you're like me, you're going to create your own GPT so that you can make it truly your own. It really has to be in your voice, but it can take a lot of work off of your table. So use what you can, use the tools you have, and it doesn't have to be very big. The blog post does not have to be this long post with hundreds of images. In fact, it shouldn't be. Google is going to prioritize your content if it's valuable. So you do need to reverse engineer it and think about a good keyword, one that's not too searchable, but one that's searchable enough, one that is going to provide value to your audience. So I do invite you to get really creative with your blog titles and stay away from things like Amanda's senior portrait session in Malibu, because the only person that cares about that is Amanda. And that's not the only reason that we are blogging, right? It's a great way to do that because Amanda can share that blog post and her parents can share it. But instead of that, maybe think about, a different take on that. Why I love shooting in Malibu, or the 3 reasons I love to shoot in Malibu. 3 outfit choices for summer shooting on Malibu, right? There's a lot of different ways you can go about this. And I'm just kind of popping stuff off the top of my head here, but you get the idea. I want you to be a little creative in your blog titles. Again, SEO matters. So make sure you understand that part of it as well. Okay. So then you're going to take each of these blog titles and you're going to come up with your social post content for each one. So think of the hook that you're going to use and also what caption could be based on the keyword research you've already done. Because remember, TikTok and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube are all search engines. So when you break things down like this and you stick to a plan across all platforms, you're just going to have better results, right? So when you break things down like this and you stick to a plan across all platforms for the whole month, you add fuel to your SEO and your marketing works better for you instead of just, coming up with things on the fly and hoping they stick. So you're going to need to print out additional copies for all 12 of these months, or just add them in Canva if you want. But I really want you to commit to this strategy. Okay. Just sit down sometime this month in January and carve this out. And if you can't do it all in one sitting, then commit to getting it outlined at least by the beginning of February, right? Put it on your calendar, set an alarm, hold yourself to this, you guys. And if you give yourself a time limit and you put it on the calendar and you reward yourself, you're more likely to do it. Remember, you're not coming up with a ton of captions or the entire blog right now. It could just be a sentence. And also remember that you can repurpose your captions across platforms. With just a small tweak, you can make one TikTok and then post the same thing without the watermark on Reels, Pinterest, and YouTube Shorts. I talk about all of that in that mini course, Repurpose. I'll put it in the show notes for you guys if you're interested in that. Just don't overcomplicate it, okay? And when you feel yourself overthinking, stop and tell yourself to keep it simple. I like to just block off some time on my calendar and then revisit my topics or my themes monthly to see what's coming up, what's shifted a little bit, and then start to schedule at least a few. I used to schedule far in advance, but that just doesn't really work well for me the way that social media is shifting so fast now. So it's a good idea to have an outline like this to refer to, but you're also going to need to stay on top of what is happening now on social to make your posts actually relevant. Make sense? And that's why I'm always giving out trend advice to my Elevate members. I send out weekly trends on what's trending as far as sounds on TikTok and Reels, because that actually does matter. And both of those platforms particularly are constantly changing their algorithm. So it doesn't make sense for me to create, let's say, a social media course for you guys, right? Because it's going to change. There's going to be some things that just pop up. So I like to do little pop-up classes to keep people up to date. Maybe I'll plan one for this spring. But mainly what I've been focusing on the most is doing this for my groups, for my Elevate groups. I have 2 levels of that group. And so I focus most of my energy there. And in 2024, that's one of my goals, is to focus more on my groups than to provide content for the public. So if you're interested in Elevate, I will put that in the show notes as well. You can hop in. It's just $49 a month. And of course, I also, work with my one-on-one clients in this way as well. So there's another tracker on the next page. The idea is to decide how often you're going to post and schedule content and then check it to mark it off, right? So reward yourself. That part's really important. Super, super important. So the last thing I want to walk you through is this belief system page. Okay. So if you don't have the PDF, I'm going to sort of break it down for you guys right now. Before I do that, if you don't have the PDF on the 30-day post tracker, what it looks like is the numbers 1 through 30 in little bubbles in 3 columns. Okay. And then there's a little spot for your goal, for your reflection notes, and then goal completed. What will you reward yourself with? So it's just like a little way to track yourself and to reward yourself. And then the belief system page of the PDF, it says at the top, rate your belief systems. Look at each area in relation to what we've covered. And I want you to rate yourself and be honest without judgment. So there's 5 categories, 5 questions basically, and there's a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not very and 10 being extremely. So I want you to ask yourself, I was honest in seeing the gaps in my business as I worked through this, 1 through 10. I believe I have what it takes to follow through on this in 2024, 1 through 10. I feel confident in knowing what I need to do in 2024 to stay consistent and calm, 1 through 10. I have the support I need to do all of this, 1 through 10. And then I'm excited to tackle my business in 2024, 1 to 10. So just take a second and reflect on that after you do this exercise. And I'd love to hear any feedback as well on you guys. On the PDF, there is a space for your notes. And then if you find yourself needing support like this, and you want more on an ongoing basis, you can always hop into Elevate or one-on-one coaching, because we can go a lot deeper, obviously, in either of those programs. So as we wrap up, I want to just also make a note, because in the past and normally I will offer a PDF, anything like this that accompanies a little class or a free workshop that I'm doing. I will offer it for free. But one of my own goals this year in 2024 is that I am going to start charging for some of my content, even if it's 99 cents. And I want you to take a page from my book. I am all about giving you guys free education. That's why I created this podcast. That's why I'm on TikTok and Instagram Reels like once or twice a day, giving you guys content there and long form pieces of content as well in my Facebook groups and things like that. But that takes a lot of capacity and a lot out of me. And another thing that I'm changing this week is that I'm not going to be offering as many freebies on my coaching site. I think right now I have something like 8 freebies that you can download. And it's not uncommon for people to go to my site, download all the freebies. You know, they just have to sign up for my email list, download the freebies, and then unsubscribe. It happens a lot. And I get it. I understand you might not want a ton of emails, but if you think that what I'm providing is valuable, okay, just wait till you see some of my emails. Side note, I also don't like to barrage you with emails. So all of you guys who are on my list and continue to stay on my list and open my emails and respond to them, I just appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. That being said, I feel like this content is super valuable. It took me quite a while to create this workbook. It wasn't super easy. I'm happy to give it to you, but it's $3. So if you can afford $3, go ahead and download it. Again, I'm not trying to make things inaccessible for people. I'm still making it accessible. But when you have a little bit of skin in the game, you're going to hold yourself a lot more accountable. And the same goes with your pricing as a business owner. Okay. Value yourself, value your time. It's time away from your kids. It's time away from your spouse. It's time. It is your most valuable commodity. You need to be auditing your time. I just went over this with one of my group members a couple of days ago. She was talking about how she doesn't have overhead, so her pricing isn't quite as high as it maybe should be, but she doesn't have all this high overhead like a studio or editors or expenses. And I said, well, what about your time, right? We always sort of forget about that. Your time is even more valuable than that. So you need to be making sure that you are efficient with your work and you're getting through it and it's not bogging you down. But you also need to be charging appropriately for it, guys. You are worth it. Don't let anybody in your life, including people who are close to you, tell you that what you do is not valuable because you're creative. Okay. I'm going to get on my soapbox for 2.5 seconds. Do not let people in your life do that to you, because what you do is valuable. The world runs on the art that we produce. Okay. Art is what keeps us going through these crazy times that we're living through. Look back in history. The things that get us through is all art. And as a side note on a little bit of a woo-woo thing, if you look at the astrology about Pluto entering Aquarius, you guys are about to enter into like a renaissance of art. So I want you to lean heavily into it. Be creative. Be your wild, imaginative self. That's what you came here to do. Stop squashing it. If you are an artist and you want to make money from producing your art, first of all, you absolutely can. But second of all, you got to get really comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to get really comfortable with thinking that other people are going to, say things about you. You're not for everybody. It's none of your business. So if you need support, hop back into this podcast. You're going to get it from me here. You'll get it from me in my free groups, and you'll get it from me in my paid groups. So the choice is yours. I hope to see you in any of those capacities this year. 2024 is off to a raging start. It's going quick. I'm super excited about it. and I hope that you are too. As always, I would love to hear from you guys. Leave a review for the podcast. And I always send you something. I pick a random review and I will send it to that person because I want to thank you and reward you for showing up for me in that way. But you can also share it on your Instagram and tag me at Renee Bowen so you can make sure I see it. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day and week. I love you. Sending you lots of love and light.